Do you think adult literacy receives less attention than other areas of education, including other areas of adult education, such as technical and vocational training? And if so, why?
Sure. Well, I think, I think we don't have to go too terribly far. When after the war, when the GIs came home and the GI Bill of Rights came, the real thrust of that bill was getting people retrained to go to work. And in this country, vocational, what we used to call vocational education, I think more now they talk more about technical and career education, but the idea was to train people to go to work, to be able to take this machine and put it together, or that machine and take it apart. And that was the simplistic view in terms of training. We all know that if you've been in this business, that training is a lot more than that. There are cognitive kinds. It's not just training. I mean, you can train a football player to be very strong and powerful and big, but he may not know all the health implications of the food and the body and the training that went into his training. He just knows he's ready to do that work. So when we think in terms of adult ed, what we needed to think in terms of first is how do we teach this individual to become a plumber or an auto mechanic or a welder or a diesel mechanic. And it was that kind of thing. And it was an important thing because you had to put people to work. That was the idea. And academic development is not something that happens in 6 weeks or a year's training. You see, I can train you to do a job in a short period of time. I cannot necessarily lead you to a master's degree in a short period of time, because it's a cognitive kind of a process that is the sum total of all that person's experience. So it took a lot longer than that because it was not economically viable. And then about 15, 20 years ago, maybe less than that, maybe 15 years ago, they come to find out that, we're not able to get these folks to get jobs. They don't, they can't write and they can't speak the language. They're not able to read very well. And so all of a sudden, it was important that the reading and writing and math become equally as important as the training aspects of education. In some training centers, I recall the private sector going crazy and calling my office because all of a sudden they could not just claim a person was trained and ready to go to work when they were getting federal dollars until they had their GED. So now it became important for them to get a high school diploma so that they could prove to the federal government that they are in fact trained but high school educated also. And so that made a difference too, that now it wasn't just getting at the training, that they wanted you also to have a diploma, that the government and the people understood that there was more to the training process. But today, you're going to go to community college, you better have a high school. And if you don't, you have to take a CPT score to understand that you are at high school level, or you have to take remedial classes. So, I think that, and there was a greater need in getting people to work. I think it's always been about economics in the workforce. So adult ed has moved a long way into that. Now we're an integrated piece of that, and we're not an afterthought.
In terms of lessons learned the hard way, what advice do you have for practitioners and researchers in the field today as a result of those lessons and your 49 years of experience?
I think it's reaching out to the community. I think that's one of the most important things that I think I learned. I remember early on, I was teaching 4th grade in Palm River Elementary School. And, as a young instructor, I thought that if they would just leave me alone, that I was going to change the world. I mean, you bring that fervor to these kinds of things. And so you have this notion that you can do it by yourself, but you really can't. You'll learn at a certain time that all of us have to be partners in this endeavor. That it has to be the schools, and it does have to be the taxpayers, even if they don't have children in school, and it does have to be the business community and the churches in the community, all of us working for the same goals, which are sometimes I think we're all always working for the same goals, and maybe we're the means to those goals are different. And that's okay. That's what makes this country a good country, where you have the diversity of thought and action. Communications and collaboration, and use your community, because the resources are out there, and you're going to get much more done as a community than you are as an individual.
Amen. One last question.
Right.
Do you see any trends in the field of adult literacy that you feel are particularly positive or promising?
I think that one of the promising, we just talked about it, which was the family literacy program. Two, really. The family literacy program for young adults who are from families that are at risk. But you know what? It's not just about families that are at risk, because all of us in raising our children have had times when we're not sure what to do. So training youngsters, even when they're in high school, and I know that some of that is happening. I don't know to what degree it is happening, but in terms of how to raise a child, how to survive in marriage, what are the kinds of cooperative efforts that a community needs from its individuals. It's not all about APCAT and passing a test and being able to go to work. That's all very important, but there's got to be so much more than that. So teaching people social skills, life coping skills, so that they're able to work in the community in which they live, number one. And secondly is to understand that there are those families that are not going to be able to do it on themselves. You get these folks that say, I did it, I made it on my own, and everybody should be able to do the same thing. There are some folks that simply are not capable of doing that. And in this country, in this democracy, everyone needs an opportunity. And if opportunities are denied because of where you were born, or who your parents were, or what the color of your skin is, or where you live, that's an insult to this democracy. And we need to always look forward that everyone is entitled to an opportunity. That's the main thing. And to give the families with children an opportunity to go to school and to better themselves while they have good child care for their children. We cannot wait till kids get to school and hope that what happened in the first 5 or 6 years away from the school was enough. If the canary does not hear the mother sing, it doesn't learn how to sing. And that's true of our children.